Welcome to this edition of ZoeTV. We have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking to Steve Beard. He is the pastor for Mountain View Presbyterian Church, and he's also doing a series on C.S. Lewis. So we'll talk a little bit about that with him. We have Gabe Vazquez on the show, and he's going to be talking about something new that's coming to the Performance Center and explaining all about that. So we're really excited. Steve's going to be doing tips as usual, and Jake has the third installment of this never-ending recipe that he's been giving us. But
it looks good. Have you tried the first two?
It does. Last week it was pico de gallo. It's fabulous.
And I've made the first two, and they're sitting on my counter waiting for part three.
For the next
so
two.
It's coming.
So sit back, enjoy, and hear those recipes.
Hello friends, today we are going to be preparing chicken skewers. So depending on your supermarket, you'll start with a nice big breast. This is obviously a whole chicken with two very large breasts. They call these randoms. The reason they call them randoms is because they are not butchered down yet. They're very large in size. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off these little eyeballs right off the ends. I'm gonna set those aside. We don't really need those for this application. We're gonna split the breasts right down the center. And we're actually gonna take out this vein. There's a little bit of fat coating it, but as you can see, there's a tendon through the middle that it's not the greatest flavor. It's not even edible, really. So the last thing that I do typically on my chicken breast is I take out this vein that kind of goes through here. And how I do that is I either take a smaller knife, a boning knife, or a paring knife, but I just make a small incision here until it cuts through it. And then I turn the chicken around and I come back this way and I cut it all the way out. Again, it's a tendon, it's chewy, it doesn't have any flavor, it doesn't cook down. But now you have a nice clean chicken breast that you can cut down into your chicken skewers. So when I do these chicken skewers, I'm going against the grain, and if you look at the chicken, you can actually see there's a grain this way. So what I try to do is I start kind of on the tendon side, which is really the chicken tender. Anywhere you go and eat a chicken tender, this would be your chicken tender. Delicious. And now you have your nice clean chicken breast. So with the chicken tender, again, we're making chicken skewers, and I want these to be about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch thick. And I want them all to be universal so I can cook them all the same. So then again, going against the grain now. Depending on the size of the breast, you end up with 5 probably to 8 skewers and how thin you go. But you want them all the same thickness, so they'll all cook the same thickness. All right, so next we're gonna take the point side up. So if we turn them all point side up, you're gonna take a little bit of the heavier end and you're gonna take the skewer, and you really wanna skewer right through the middle, but not all the way through. You shouldn't really have any of the skewer showing. But depending if you're grilling them, you could soak the skewers. Again, for this application, we're gonna cook them, you're not gonna need to. So rather than dirty a whole nother pan or some more equipment, basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna take some salt and pepper, and you're gonna just season those chicken skewers ever so lightly, making sure it's nice, even all the way across. And you're gonna take a little bit of that pepper, and you're gonna season them all the way. You're gonna flip them. You're gonna add a little bit more salt on this side. And a little bit more pepper on this side. The chicken doesn't come seasoned, so we have to add it. So at this point, our pan should be nice and hot. I'm gonna add that oil to it. But what we want is, we wanna hear that sizzle. You wanna load that pan up. Now you can use tongs for this application. Since I have a glove, I'm able to move them around. But let them cook. Let that chicken cook. Let it add color. Let it seal all that flavor in. You don't need to look at it. You're gonna look at it when you're putting it in your mouth. So anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes, what we're looking for is that nice golden color. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's real nice. And you're gonna cook these all the way through. You can do them before. You can do them just like this. Do one side, you can put it on a tray. Save it for if you had a party or somebody coming over. And then just throw them in the oven. Bake them at 350, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just finish them off. But if you're gonna serve them right now, you could basically sit here and cook them all the way through. This was chicken skewers.
Hey everybody, we are so delighted today to have our intellectual pillar profile. And today we just started the C.S. Lewis series, 5-part series. And I am so thrilled to have Steve Beard with me. He's going to tell us a little bit about the series. So if any of you weren't able to come today, please make sure you get it next week. For sure, but welcome, Steve. Thank you so much for visiting with us for a little bit.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about this series.
So I'm going to spend 5 lectures. We did one this morning, and I'm going to try and introduce some of Lewis's writings in each week. So this morning we looked at his autobiography. We'll look at some of his fiction, some of his nonfiction, how he dealt with suffering and evil. He touched on so many different subjects. The breadth of his writing was amazing. How he looks at imagination and how he argues for the Christian faith. And so each week I'll take a book and talk about it and introduce it, and then at the end of each hour I do a reading from one of his fictional works, his Chronicles of Narnia. We don't do a lot of public reading much anymore, so I think it's kind of a lost art, so I'm going to do that.
Well, and I understand too, with that said, that the staff in your office says that if you're not in your office, that you're probably somewhere off in Narnia.
Yeah, they give me a hard time. I love C.S. Lewis. I grew up with him, and it's been a lifelong joy of mine.
Passion,
so passion,
for sure.
Yeah.
So tell everybody, tell our viewers, where you're at.
Yeah.
You're a pastor in Scottsdale.
I am. I'm the lead pastor at Mountain View Presbyterian Church, and that is in kind of north central Scottsdale. I've been there for about 9 years. And I'm currently teaching a Lewis class for them right now in the evenings. So this is kind of a season where I'm doing this, and it's been a wonderful pastor. It's a wonderful church. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
I shared that we have a family member that got married in that church. It's a gorgeous church, beautiful. We knew the pastor prior to, and so I'm so excited for you. That's a wonderful. And you're from?
I'm from San Diego. San Diego is home.
Go
and
Padres.
Yes. Studied on the East Coast and dabbled back there a little bit, but we out west here is home. So definitely.
And you said your father was a minister?
My father was a minister, yes, and he was the one that introduced me to C.S. Lewis when I was young. He would read the Chronicles of Narnia to me, and then some of my undergraduate study, I took some courses and have continued that, and I've been really blessed and fortunate to help I helped found the C.S. Lewis Society of Arizona.
Did you?
Believe it or not. And they put out a journal now called Sehnsucht, which is a Lewis journal, a scholarly journal. But there's a few of us in Arizona that are really...
driving the movement.
Yes, probably, yes.
That's great. So tell our viewers about your family.
My family, I have 3 kids, married for a long time, 27 years, and 3 kids, 2 adult children, 1 who is still in high school. And we have a 9th grader, so we had a little bit of a gap there.
Span, yes.
So we live actually in Cave Creek, and we love it here. And so yeah, we're very, very blessed.
I said he's almost a native. He's been here 15 years.
Yes,
so.
yes, that's right, that's right.
So what does next week look like?
Next week, I'm going to talk. This morning, I talked about Lewis's early life and how formative it was for his Christian faith. And then next week, I'm going to talk about the second half of his life when this confirmed bachelor found love for the very first time and he got married. Some of you may have seen the movie Shadowlands, and I know it's going to be played here, I think, next week, they said. So you get to know a little bit about that. And then Lewis wrote about suffering in 2 different books, and one of the books is called The Problem of Pain. And in that book, it's a rather clinical view from a theological perspective of why God allows suffering and evil. But then after his wife died of cancer, he wrote in a very personal way about his grief. And the 2 books are vastly different looks at the same problem. But there's the external look, but then when it happens to me, Lewis wrote very, very differently. So we'll look at grief and suffering in Lewis's life and then how he wrote about it next week.
So if any of you missed this week, please, please, please come next week, because this is just an amazing series, and highlighting C.S. Lewis has just been such an inspiration, and it will be to you for sure. So Steve, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Honor to be here. Thank you.
We love having you on campus.
Thank you much. Good.
Thank you.
Okay.
So for today's fitness tip, what we wanted to show is one of the exercises we love the most to work on your core, okay? This is one of the exercises that in the Performance Center, Tom here would do on the ground. You'd see other performing on the table. Again, if you're coming down to the Performance Center, all you really need is a flat surface and one of our mini physio balls. Now, the first thing we do when we do compression is we want to be in a neutral spine. So you can see Tom right here is laying nice and flat. He's working on getting his back in a neutral spine position, meaning he's pressing that stomach down into the ground. Now, the first move I have Tom do is bend your knees, Tom. Bring them up. Good. And I want him to go to a 90-degree angle. Now, for some of our residents, just getting to this 90 degree is hard, okay? For others, pretty easy. But our goal is this, 90 degrees, okay? Knees are together, feet are together. This is a nice, safe environment for his back, being that he is in neutral spine. Now, what you do with this physio ball is we have him place it right into the top of his knees. His hands go right to the front of the ball, and he's gonna hold this in place. When people come down to the Performance Center all the time, they see residents participating in this exercise. They're like, what is he doing, or what is she doing? Well, when you're holding a ball in place in neutral spine, his core right here is activated. It's nice and engaged, working on some strength. So what Tom is really trying to do is work on changing the shape of this ball. He is pushing his hands into that ball, and his knees are pushing back, and he's got this compression state right here. Now, to take this to the next level, Tom, go ahead and take your right arm back. Good, bring it back. Now left, he's gonna alternate his arms. So the hand that stays on the ball is pushing, and he's engaging that ball, which again engages that core. So his legs are staying at 90 degrees, the arms are alternating, and you can see he's not spending much time back there. He's about a second, bringing her back. He's continuing to breathe. Okay, now we're gonna add one more extra step. Tom, when that right arm goes back, push your left leg out. I want it to alternate. Yep, push it out, bring it back, and then go the other one. Get a rhythm here. Boom, all the way out, full extension, good. So, this is the very last part of this exercise. Once we make sure the resident feels good with neutral spine, legs up 90 degrees, holding the ball, working on the arms, now we add the leg, okay? Adding the leg opposite the arm, there's a lot of coordination patterns in play. So from a cognitive standpoint, this is a very hard, tricky exercises to do. When he gets a little engaged with his core, his hip flexor is firing. So we've got a lot of work in the hips and the core. Now you can see Tom has gone nonstop here. He's gonna do a couple more for you. This is a lot of work. Tom is making it look very easy. What we recommend, go ahead and relax, Tom, is when you try this for the first time, get on a flat surface. Try to make sure you understand what neutral spine means, meaning bending your knees. Go ahead and bend those knees for me. Put your feet down, okay? This position right here, where he's pushing that stomach down, that's an exercise all to itself, right? Learning what neutral spine means. Pressing that stomach down. Then from there, bringing the ball up, hands in front. Okay, even that's an exercise for some, is feet staying down, pressing that ball. There's a lot of core engagement even with the feet down. Then progress to go ahead and lift those feet up, Tom, 90 degrees. Stage 3 of compression right here, followed by right arm back, left arm back, that alternation pattern. Finally followed by that leg sequence, go ahead and opposite, and then bring it back, opposite, bring it back. That would be the final stage to compression. So go ahead and relax. So from the start of being a neutral spine, all the way to the end where we went alternate arm and leg pattern, that is a full body compression workout. Thanks. We are so lucky to be joined by Gabe Vazquez. Now Gabe, you've been in front of this camera and then behind the camera, you've been on both sides of this camera, but we thought it was the time to bring him on this side.
Because he has something really exciting to talk about. So we're really excited to have you here because there's a whole new program that's going to be going into our Zoe Life downstairs in the Performance Center.
Gabe's been critical in establishing what this is going to be, what it's going to entail, and the whole ITAV. Everybody's excited about it because you guys are all gamers and excited, and we've touched on the virtual reality on this campus with the Oculus, and everybody puts that on and they're like, this is amazing. But with what you guys ordered through a grant that we received, should blow them away, right?
Right, and I think what has helped a lot is, I myself have been one of the pioneers in when VR was starting to get taking off. So I kind of invested into the equipment at home just personally, and I've been heavily involved with VR on my own for a long time. So then when Mike was telling me we're introducing this on campus, we're going to be helping getting residents in here, we need somebody who knows a lot about VR to be able to step in the right direction. I was just so excited to be able to start doing that.
So tell people what virtual reality is actually.
So now the reason they call it virtual reality, because it's supposed to be as immersive as real life, but it's kind of digitally created. So in real life, you can see things and you can hear things and you have to be able to perceive them. So now virtual reality is basically getting two little screens and putting them on each one of your eyes. And when it does that, the same way as when you put your hand in front of your face, there's look like two hands. Well, the lenses will look like there's a true 3D in front of you in a VR space. So you put on these glasses and they can take you anywhere. That would be a created space. And it may even be recorded video. It can be even implemented and integrated with Google Earth, traveling the entire world to see what you can see, or even challenge kind of games and motor functions.
Or being in the center of the ocean and swimming with the beluga whales. He thinks I just like to say beluga. But it was amazing. I mean, that was amazing.
That's what I think with the Oculus and what we've experienced and got our feet wet with VR with our residents, both at Providence Place and here, we wanted to go and get at least that initial step in this direction. What's so impactful about what you guys ordered and what's coming for the Performance Center? Tell us kind of like what the differences are.
So we're gonna weight that scale. If anybody has experienced an Oculus Quest, you have maybe these two controllers and then something small and portable that goes on your head, and you may be either standing in one place or sitting in one place and you can play those games there. But what if you want to take it to the next level? A lot of people want to be able to walk extended areas in VR. They want to be able to explore and move their legs and fully be immersed in this VR space. So this will be something that's called a catwalk. And what a catwalk is it harnesses around your body. You put on the headgear and you've got these controllers You'll actually be so immersed that you will be walking with your own 2 legs in VR space, so that you can be walking room to room. You can have an entire house that you can do a virtual tour, for example, or any sort of game that you would want to be able to walk around. It's complete 3D space immersion. You can spin around in full circles and really feel like you're in the room, and as far as you know, you are.
But for the residents that we have that may be on some type of limitations of a walker, this can be adaptive to what they come in at, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Very cool. I think with the demographic that we cater to and the excitement level to be able to, like when we went over to Province Place and we put those headsets on, is go back to your original address through the Google Earth system you mentioned, and be able to see, like, it's my front doorstep of where I grew up. To be able to do that level of VR for those that just want that, to this massive
being
programming.
able to walk around there. It's not just looking, it's being inside of that space. Not just looking, it's experiencing.
So that's the difference, as opposed to the Oculus Quest would be just kind of seeing things happen. You're immersed in it even more with this 100%, and doing all that.
A lot more immersed.
So how much space is it going to take up in the Performance Center?
So it's not too much space. The catwalk itself is about 4 to 5 feet in width and depth. So your real estate is really as far wide your arms go.
Okay.
And since you don't have to leave that area, and you'll be able to fully rotate as you're walking around this play space, then you really don't need to explore further than your arm's length.
And how soon should we have it?
So this being aired Monday, it should have just met our campus last Friday. So now Brian and I are probably currently in the phase of getting to be the first ones to play around with it and making sure that everything functions correctly as of this week, as this is airing. Right.
And if you need anybody else to help you try it out,
Beluga whales.
Yes, I want to swim with the beluga whales.
It's one of those things
again.
that in the Performance Center, we've held that space with our giant conference table on our Facebook portal, but we knew what was coming, and we've been talking about this for so long, but we wanted to do it the right way. And so we wanted to, as the grant money came in, be able to execute this with the right people to purchase the right equipment. And so it's taken a little bit of time, but it's going to be well worth the wait.
I am so excited.
I think
you are going to love it. It's going to open up worlds that you've always wanted to see, but you've never been able to. So.
And the goal of the programming piece is to dovetail in on the training side for the workouts, where the residents would spend their time doing their fall prevention and workout, but at the end of the week, they know they're going to have an opportunity by appointment to get in that machine and be like, I worked out to get ready to hike Mount Kilimanjaro or whatever, and you're putting that on and you're doing it. So it's gonna fit right in with the training program at the end of the week for each person. And so, it is gonna be very structured in terms of appointment for it, but it's gonna be well worth the wait.
I think they're gonna be real excited about it. I know when we were talking to Gary about the Oculus Quest, he realized that there's a lot of residents that were a lot more excited about it than they first anticipated. At first they may think, okay, we're gonna do exercises just like Steve's making me do exercises, and it's just gonna be a virtual version of exercises. And they're finding themselves riding these roller coasters and going through these experiences.
Shooting zombies.
Because they want to go through the entire regimen of what it can offer, because not only is it great for the body and great for the brain, but it's also really fun. I think people will just have a lot of fun being able to experience.
That's the goal. So we got the VR equipment coming and going to be set up in the next week or so. What other fun things did you able to buy to enhance the university program with that same grant money?
But that same grant money, we're able to enhance our intellectual pillar. But we've been able to put this university into place, and it's such a great idea that we can have residents come and be able to observe these lectures, but then you're restricted to only this room. If you're not here in the room experiencing the lecture, then
you
that's it. You miss it. And it may be such a narrow window that we're able to get that speaker in. But now we have cameras, the magic of technology that can capture this entire room, and multiple cameras in this room to be able to stream the lectures not only to our campus, but even uploading them online, putting them on YouTube, being able to share them with people across. So anyone in the world would be able to get more immersed with what Zoe Life offers, be able to experience the lectures that we have.
We're excited because you guys have been taping previous lectures from the last semester in the back of the room with the cameras, but the way you guys designed this is with the multiple cameras is if our residents ask a question, we had the camera from the front angle to get the view of them asking the question. So the professionality of it, the optics of a really good immersive program that's online, somebody could enjoy watching is in
Right.
place, right?
Right. And it's a full room capture, so that some settings that we may have in this room are not just a lecture of somebody standing in the front. You may be having an experience in here where somebody's going to table all over the room, and how do you capture that with a single camera sitting in the back with a tripod? You need to be able to capture the whole room
Sure,
so that
wow.
you can get the information as good as you can. And that's what we've set up to be able to capture.
That's
You
cool.
guys do a great job.
Now, and we're not going to see you down here capturing it. So when our residents are
Yes.
lecturing, they're like, "Where's Gabe and Brian? Where are you guys at doing this?"
We're doing it remotely in our secret command center.
the secret command center.
Secret command
That sounds cool.
center.
Obviously, nobody knows where that is.
No,
so-
No, that's our media hub, where since we do have a little bit of real
Yes.
estate on this campus, having the auditorium, we've got a studio on campus that we shoot the CEO Corner and
Yes.
the Ross Foss Show and Club One. But now we have the university added to that, so that now we have all these different components that the
Yes.
video needs to come together. So we've got to have our central media hub to be able to send videos everywhere it needs to go.
Oh, gosh.
It's so fun for us to watch how this plays out,
That's
where
right.
the grants get written out and you hope for money and you tell the
Yes.
story of what we're trying to create, and then you get these bites and these nibbles from these providers, and then big money like what we got came in, and then to actually use the funds for
That's
the way we
right.
wanted and to be able to
Yes.
show it, right? And to be able to show it all and use blows the grant who funded that away, that they're able to see the optics of their money being used
Yeah,
what they hope
it's
for.
immediate gratification.
Right.
The impact of the cameras and the way that the lectures are captured compared to where they were before. Before, what me and Brian is a media tech that helps me
Yes.
on campus, what we called it was documenting them. But we're no longer documenting them. Now we're really capturing.
Oh, that's great.
That's what I think is the
Yeah.
That's very cool. Well, good, man.
Gabe, thanks so much for being on the show. You are vital
excited.
to everything that we do on campus,
absolutely.
both of you and Brian. So thank you very much for everything that you do.
What a show! I mean, seriously.
This one was such a great show, and I loved talking with Steve Beard. Of course, our Steve couldn't be there for that interview, but he was so interesting, and he has this passion for C.S. Lewis that is like nothing I've ever seen.
The feedback from the first lecture, and I mean, it was standing room only
Right,
to be
yeah,
able to
it
watch this
was.
lectures, was I can't wait for the next one. I
Right.
can't wait to see how these build.
Right.
So I think Steve gave just good perspective
He did.
on his passion for C.S. Lewis and how it would relate and does
Yes.
relate to our residents.
And he also shared a little bit about what's going to be happening this week. So please, if you didn't get the first one, come to this one this week.
Yeah,
and-
absolutely. Register
and-
because
yes.
it is virtually sold out. We
yeah.
can squeeze more in, but we need to know you
Right.
want to come. So please call, come down, say I didn't get on that first one, but I want to do the
Yes,
second. So
absolutely.
But it was a good episode, and then of course Gabe.
Yes, Gabe is always so good, and he explains things, technology, he knows so well, and he explains things really well. So we really enjoyed him talking to us about virtual reality, which not a lot of people
That's
know
right.
about. So that was a great conversation. We really appreciated that.
And what we're going to find is that virtual reality component comes more into the performance center, is that apprehensiveness of residents. I don't want to do that. It's too complicated. It's really not.
Oh,
Put
gosh,
these goggles on and about to be wowed.
You have to do it.
It's-
It literally is mind-boggling, the experience that you'll have doing this. So.
I'm just excited to see, we added the boxing apparatus in the
yeah.
performance center, and just adding the new elements in there. Everybody's
Right.
like, you got something new.
Yes.
Let me try that. And so with this coming and being the forefront of the room right when you walk
Right.
in, I think that the wow factor is definitely going to be in place. As
Absolutely.
we are on cutting edge.
That's right.
In this facility
and we're
for what's
so
out there.
thankful for the grants that we've been provided that we were able to do this with.
That's right. So I think we've had another great week.
I know, and Jake's recipe continues to go. So
I can't wait for the finale.
Yeah, I know. Next week will be the finale. We can hardly wait.
And again, we talk about it each week, but the Parkinson's program is in full swing. The 10 bodies that are working so hard.
Right.
There's a lot more to come on some ending to that first wave of
Right.
beta and some
Yes.
of the outcomes with data, but also outcomes with their projects they're working on. They're all working on
Yes.
painting, and we're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
display those out for
Oh, it was
everybody.
amazing.
And it's going to be super cool. So
Yes.
a lot more to come on the Parkinson's, and when we're going to start the next wave of that beta as
That's
well.
right.
So
Okay.
all good stuff.
All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.